Welcome back to Zarathustra Explained. Today, we're diving into a chapter called The Cry of Distress, where things get very intense very quickly.
All right, so where do we find Zarathustra at the start of this section? Is he still up in his mountain cave?
He is. The scene opens the next day. He's sitting on a stone outside his cave, just like we've seen him do before. His animals are out foraging for new food.
And the text mentions new honey specifically. It says he had spent and wasted all the old honey. Is there significance to that?
Absolutely. The honey often symbolizes his wisdom and teachings. The fact that it's all gone suggests he has given everything he has and is now in a state of emptiness, perhaps waiting for something new.
So he's in a reflective, maybe even vulnerable state. What is he doing?
He's holding a stick and tracing the shadow of his own figure on the ground. The text makes a point of saying he isn't reflecting on himself or his shadow, but just sort of being.
That feels very meditative, but I have a feeling that peace isn't going to last.
Not at all. Suddenly, he's startled because he sees another shadow appear right next to his own. He jumps up, and there stands a visitor.
And this isn't just any visitor, is it? I remember this character.
Exactly. It's the soothsayer, the same one Zarathustra had shared a meal with before. This is the man who preaches the philosophy of the great weariness.
Right, the ultimate nihilist, the one who teaches that all is alike, nothing is worthwhile, the world is without meaning, a real downer.
The very same, but his appearance has changed. The text says his face is filled with evil announcement and ashy gray lightnings. When Zarathustra looks into his eyes, his heart is startled again.
That's some heavy imagery. It sounds like the soothsayer has seen something terrible, or is about to bring some terrible news.
It seems that way. There's this tense moment where the soothsayer sees the alarm in Zarathustra's soul and wipes his own face, as if to clear the bad omen from it. Zarathustra does the same.
A silent, mutual acknowledgement of the tension in the air. Then they shake hands to sort of reestablish their connection.
Yes, a token of recognition. Zarathustra, ever the host, welcomes him and invites him to eat and drink, forgiving him for being gloomy in the presence of a cheerful old man.
He calls himself a cheerful old man? That's an interesting bit of self-perception.
It is, but the soothsayer immediately challenges it. He shakes his head and says that Zarathustra has been up here alone for a long time, and soon his bark shall no longer rest on dry land.
His bark? As in his boat? What does that mean? Is he predicting a literal flood?
It's a powerful metaphor. Zarathustra even laughs and asks, "Do I then rest on dry land?" He sees himself as already amidst the chaos of existence.
So the soothsayer is talking about a metaphorical flood. What kind?
He clarifies, "The waves around thy mountain rise and rise, the waves of great distress and affliction. They will soon raise thy bark also and carry thee away."
So a flood of human suffering is coming, and it's going to sweep Zarathustra up, whether he likes it or not. He can't remain isolated on his mountain.
Precisely. And at this point, Zarathustra falls silent. The soothsayer then asks, "Dost thou still hear nothing? Doth it not rush and roar out of the depth?"
And does he? Does Zarathustra hear something?
He listens, and then he does. He hears a long, long cry that seems to be passed from one abyss to another, a sound so evil that none of the depths wanted to keep it.
Wow, that description is chilling. A cry that the abyss itself rejects. Zarathustra must know what this means.
He identifies it immediately. He calls the soothsayer an ill announcer and says that is a cry of distress and the cry of a man.
Right, so it's a human cry. But Zarathustra's philosophy is about overcoming, about moving beyond typical human concerns. How does he react to this?
His first reaction is to distance himself. He says, "But what doth human distress matter to me?" Then he asks the soothsayer a critical question. "My last sin, which hath been reserved for me, knowest thou what it is called?"
His last sin. This is a huge moment. He's on the verge of his final transformation, and there's one last temptation or weakness he has to face.
And the soothsayer, with an overflowing heart, raises his hands and gives the answer. Pity.
Pity. His last sin is pity. We have to unpack that. Why would pity, which most people see as a virtue, be a sin for Zarathustra?
For Nietzsche's philosophy, which Zarathustra embodies, pity is a dangerous, weakening emotion. It's seen as an attachment to the suffering of the world that holds one back from self-overcoming.
So it's not about being cruel, but about not letting the suffering of others become an anchor that drowns you along with them.
Exactly. It drags the potential overman back down to the level of the herd. The soothsayer then declares, "O Zarathustra, I have come that I may seduce thee to thy last sin."
He's here to tempt him with pity. He's the agent of this final test.
And what happens then? Just as he says this, the cry sounds again, but this time it's longer, more alarming, and much, much closer.
The threat is literally drawing nearer.
Yes, and the soothsayer drives the point home, shouting, "Hearest thou? The cry concerneth thee. It calleth thee. Come, come, come. It is time."
So the cry is specifically for Zarathustra. He's being summoned. This must leave him completely shaken.
It does. The text says he is silent, confused, and staggered. After a long pause, he hesitates and asks, "And who is it that there calleth me?"
Even though the soothsayer says he already knows, it's like he doesn't want to admit it to himself.
The soothsayer confirms this, saying, "Why dost thou conceal thyself?" And then he delivers the final reveal. It is the higher man that crieth for thee.
The higher man. Okay, another crucial concept. This isn't the overman or superman, right? This is something different.
Correct. The higher man represents the best of humanity as it currently exists. Philosophers, kings, artists, scientists, those who have strived for more but have ultimately failed or fallen into despair.
So they're a bridge, a transitional form. They're better than the average person, but they haven't made the full leap that Zarathustra preaches.
And they are in distress. And that's why they are such a potent temptation for Zarathustra. Pity for the common man is one thing, but pity for the best and brightest who are suffering, that's a much harder test. How does Zarathustra react to this revelation? He's horror-stricken. He cries out, "The higher man? What wanteth he?" and breaks out into a sweat. He is terrified by this.
It's the ultimate test of his philosophy. Can he resist the urge to save these higher men, an act that he believes would ultimately be his own undoing?
That's the core of his struggle. The soothsayer ignores his alarm and just listens intently. After a long silence, he looks at Zarathustra, who is standing there, trembling.
The soothsayer seems to be enjoying this in a grim way.
He speaks with a sorrowful voice, almost taunting him. He tells Zarathustra, "Thou dost not stand there like one whose happiness maketh him giddy. Thou wilt have to dance, lest thou tumble down."
He's pointing out Zarathustra's own instability. The dance is Zarathustra's symbol for a joyful affirmation of life. And the soothsayer is saying he's about to fall.
He continues this theme of despair, saying no one would call Zarathustra the last joyous man right now. He claims that no one seeking true happiness would find it on this mountain.
He's back to his old song. All is alike, nothing is worthwhile. He even says there are no longer any happy isles.
This deep sigh of nihilism seems to have a paradoxical effect on Zarathustra. As the soothsayer finishes, Zarathustra suddenly becomes serene and confident again.
Really? So hearing that absolute despair actually snaps him out of his own hesitation? It's like a splash of cold water.
Exactly. He exclaims with a strong voice, "Nay, nay, 3 times nay. That do I know better. There are still happy isles. Silence thereon, thou sighing sorrow sack."
Sorrow sack. He's completely turned the tables. He's rejecting the soothsayer's entire worldview.
He does. He tells him to stop splashing his misery all over him and says he's going to shake himself dry. He reasserts his own authority, saying, "Here, however, is my court."
So he's taking back control of the situation and his own emotional state. What does he decide to do about the higher man?
He says he'll seek him at once in the forests because the cry came from there. He frames it not as an act of pity, but as an act of dominion.
How so? What does he say?
He declares, "He is in my domain. Therein shall he receive no scathe." It's about protecting his territory, not about saving a suffering soul. He's reframing the encounter on his own terms.
That's a clever philosophical pivot. He's going to confront the problem, but not in the way the soothsayer wants him to.
As Zarathustra turns to leave, the soothsayer calls him a rogue and says, "I know it well. Thou wouldst fain be rid of me."
He sees right through it. He knows Zarathustra is just trying to escape their conversation and this temptation.
The soothsayer predicts it won't work. He says, In the evening wilt thou have me again. In thine own cave will I sit, patient and heavy like a block, and wait for thee.
So the temptation, the weariness, the nihilism, it will still be there waiting for him when he gets back. He can't just run from it.
But Zarathustra gets the last word, and it's a brilliant one. He shouts back, "So be it," and fully accepts the challenge.
He doesn't deny it. He embraces it.
More than that, he transforms it. He tells the soothsayer that what is his in the cave also belongs to his guest. He says, "Shouldst thou, however, find honey there, well, just lick it up, thou growling bear, and sweeten thy soul."
He's inviting the growling bear of nihilism to taste his wisdom, the honey. It's an incredibly confident and playful move.
And he finishes with the ultimate power move. He tells the soothsayer that in the evening they will both be in good spirits and joyful, because this day hath come to an end.
He's declaring that the day will end in joy, not despair.
And not only that, he says, "And thou thyself shalt dance to my lays as my dancing bear."
He's going to make nihilism itself dance to his joyful tune. He's not just going to defeat it, he's going to master it and make it a part of his own celebration.
When the soothsayer shakes his head in disbelief, Zarathustra just says, "Cheer up, old bear, but I also am a soothsayer."
Wow. He's claiming the role of a soothsayer for himself, but one who predicts joy and overcoming, directly contrasting the soothsayer of despair. What a powerful ending to the scene.
It truly sets the stage for the next phase of his journey, confronting the higher man, with the temptation of pity on one side and the promise of making despair itself dance on the other.